like to talk about Lie-Nielsen's mortising chisels. Chisels are used for a number of things in a woodworking shop, from rough chopping of joints to fine paring to fit. These mortise chisels are designed for chopping out mortises for mortise and tenon joinery. Let's talk about the advantages of the Lie-Nielsen mortise chisel design and how to use them in chopping out a mortise. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at the geometry of these chisels. I have here Lie-Nielsen's 3/8 inch mortise chisel, and we can see that this chisel is a full 3/8 of an inch all the way up the sides of the chisel. All of Lie-Nielsen's chisels are sold in fractional sizes. We can see here that the sides have been ground squarely to the back, and that the cutting edge has been ground squarely to the sides. The back of this chisel has been ground flat when it's made, and has been hand finished to 400 grit. The shank of the chisel is much thicker than a standard bevel edge chisel. This is so that this mortise chisel can better withstand the stresses of the chopping and prying operations it's designed to do. Lie-Nielsen also uses the socket design for their handles. The socket design means that the chisel handle fits into a socket within the chisel itself. Some chisels use what's called a tang design. A tang chisel has a metal spike which fits into a wooden handle, often with a metal ferrule to help keep the handle from splitting. The disadvantage of the tang design is that it's very difficult to replace this handle should it become damaged. With the socket chisel, it's very easy to remove and replace this handle. To remove the handle, simply take the handle and wrap the side of it on top of the workbench. To reseat the handle, we'll simply press fit the handle into place, grasp the socket. Don't grab the chisel up near the cutting edge because you run the risk of cutting yourself. Grab the socket and wrap the end of the chisel smartly against the top of the workbench. Occasionally, you may need to reseat these handles if they come loose due to seasonal wood movement within the wood handle. You can also glue these in with a flexible epoxy, although if you do glue them in, it makes it difficult to replace the handle in future. Our handles are made of Maine-grown hornbeam, which is a tough domestic wood that's well suited to withstanding mallet blows. Now let's take a look at cutting a mortise with these chisels. Here I've got a mortise that's been partially cut. I've marked out the ends with pencil so you can see where the mortise ends. You'll note that I've started in the middle and I'm working my way towards the ends of the mortise. Now let's go ahead and continue to work on this mortise. Now you'll see that when I picked up this mortise chisel, I picked it up by the socket. Always pick up your chisels by the socket or by the shank. Never just pick them up by the handle just in case that handle's come loose. If it has, I'd much rather drop the handle than the chisel itself. To start, I'm going to go ahead and set the mortise chisel right into the mortise. And you can see here that the mortise chisel is the exact width of the mortise that we're working on. I'm going to lean back so that I can just sight along this mortise chisel and make sure that I'm straight up and down within the mortise and that I haven't tilted from one side to the other. Now that my chisel has been placed, I can use my mallet and the chisel to chop down into the mortise. Now that we've chopped into the mortise, we'll need to use this chisel to pry out the waste wood. To do so, we'll push this chisel forward to break off the piece, and then back to pry it out. As we're pulling the chisel back, note that we're pivoting the chisel right on this little shoulder of wood here. I don't mind rolling up this shoulder here because this is all waste wood, but when you get to the ends of the mortise, be careful that you don't damage the ends of the mortise by prying out. Now you can see here that as I've worked into the mortise, I've gotten progressively deeper. Once I start getting near the target depth of the mortise, I'll want to make sure that I have a mark on the chisel so that I don't chop too deeply. A small piece of masking tape will do this job admirably. Now there's a lot of work left to be done with this mortise, but when I'm finished for the day, I'll go ahead and wipe this chisel down with a light coat of camellia oil before storing it. I store my chisels in a leather tool roll. You can do this also, or hang them up for storage. But if you do hang them up, make sure that you're hanging them by the sockets and not just by the handles. For more information on sharpening and using mortise chisels, take a look at David Charlesworth's videos, Precision Preparation of Chisels for Accurate Joinery, and chisel techniques for precision joinery. Thank you for watching today, and we hope you enjoy your new Lie-Nielsen Mortise chisels.